Welcome to Self-Improvement Sunday with a great but long quote from George Orwell, but I think that you're going to enjoy it as much as I do. Writing a book is a horrible, exhausting struggle, he says, like a long bout of some painful illness. One would never undertake such a thing if one were not driven on by some demon whom one neither can resist nor understand. I think Orwell speaks to that little bit of crazy that has to follow along wherever genius goes to just help it through the day, right? I love this quote just because, I don't know, for me, it resonates really, really deeply, and hopefully it does for you as well. But with that, welcome. If you've not been here before, my name is Christopher Diarmani. It is my pleasure, it is my passion to empower aspiring Christian nonfiction writers to share their trauma to triumph journey, the story of how they were successful in getting out of that horrible place that they were in and into a way better life through using a complete, detailed roadmap for writing success so they can write, finish, and most importantly, publish their book so they can make the impact they want to make in this world. And maybe that means being possessed by a bit of a demon like George Orwell talks about, or maybe it means just embracing that little bit of crazy that lets you get through the day. Either way, all good stuff, right? So, writing a book is a daunting, yet it's an irresistibly compelling desire placed on your heart by God. I think that's the part that Orwell might have missed. That this desire was placed on your heart by God on purpose because you were there to serve some purpose of His that maybe you don't understand it yet, maybe you do. But it was put on your heart by God, which should make it a whole lot simpler to embrace, right? So yes, it can be a tough, exhausting, both mentally, physically, emotionally. It can be a challenging journey, but yet it's one, if you're like me, you're utterly compelled to take. I can no more not write than I can no more not breathe. Can't be done. If you want me to be really unhappy, stop me from writing for a little while. Oh, yeah, ask my wife. I'm not a happy camper then. So I'm compelled to move forward in this writing journey, driven forward by some deep-seated passion. Orwell calls it some deep-seated craziness. Whatever. Pick whatever phrase works for you. That internal demon, if you will. But it forces you to persist, no matter what the challenge is. And I think that's really beautiful. That I can't not write, that's not a terrible thing. That's an awesome thing. An awesome thing, because every single day I have something really beautiful I get to look forward to. So, of course, writing a book demands commitment, demands perseverance, it demands determination. But it also demands courage, joy, compassion, gratitude, all these other awesome things too. And most of all, it demands that you grow as a human being. Because you cannot become a better writer unless you become a better human being. For me, those two are linked, permanently linked. You can't separate one without separating the other. Like you can't become a better writer without being a better person. You can't become a better person without becoming a better writer. I guess it's a symbiosis is the word I'm looking for. And Romans 5, 3, and 4 is an excellent passage to remind us that the life that we desire is found on the other side of all of our fear, all of our trials, all of our terrors. On the other side of that internal demon that George Orwell is talking about, perhaps. So let me out of the way. And not only that, but we also glory in tribulations, knowing that tribulation produces perseverance, and perseverance, character, and character, hope. And ultimately, that's why we're writing a book, isn't it? To offer someone else the survival manual that we wish we had when we were going through the trauma and the pain and the suffering and stuff that we finally found our way out of. I know that there was a point where I wished I'd had a survival manual. I didn't. I had to figure that stuff out. And that's one of the things that drives me to write. I want to shortcut someone else's process, someone else's recovery, someone else's writing their book. Because I spent a really long time failing at this. And once I found the keys to that particular kingdom and embraced them and used them, I went from 15 years of never completing a first draft to publishing over 50 books so far. Not bad for a guy who couldn't figure out how to get a first draft done for 15 long years, right? So when I say things like, well, if I can do it, anybody can, That's what I mean. I went from a guy who failed for 15 years to complete a first draft to a guy that now, the fastest I've ever written and published a book was in 21 days. From blank page to published, 21 days. I don't say that to brag. I just say that there's a really awesome system for making this stuff easy. And I use the system. That's it. It doesn't make me smart. It just makes me effective. Maybe it makes me smart too. I don't know. But the point is that there's a system for success. And I encourage you to embrace that system. I truly do. You know, writing a book, while it is challenging, it provides a beautiful platform for self-improvement in a way that really not a lot else does. For spiritual growth, like nothing else really does. You will learn more about yourself in the process of writing this first book and writing this first draft, let alone getting the thing through to the publication process. You will learn more about yourself writing this first draft than you ever thought possible. And I think that you'll be utterly amazed at who you become by the end of this process. That's part of the fun for me, is watching that light bulb go on for you. Is like, oh my goodness, I had no idea that this would be the result of writing this book. We never do. I think that's part of the beautiful part of it, is that we don't know what's on the other side of this fear, on the other side of hitting publish. We don't know until we get there. And then we look back and go, oh, well, why? It's so obvious from here. It always is, right? But you'll be forged into a different human being through this process, and you'll receive blessings far beyond anything you can imagine, including those emails, those letters, those phone calls, perhaps, from the person who picked up your book and who had their life saved by it. Excuse me. Those are really great things to hear, because that's why we write. That's why we write. So with that, I would just encourage you to please connect with me on social media. You can find links to all my social media channels at writingcoach.pro/Christopher. And I just want to encourage you one more time to embrace the process. It's a beautiful process. And who you become on the other side of it, I can't wait for you to figure that out. See you tomorrow at 3.